Before you spend another old wheat penny, stop and check your pocket right now, because you could be holding a hidden treasure worth serious money. Most people unknowingly spend these rare coins every single day, while secret collectors are paying huge amounts to own them. In today's countdown, we're revealing the top 5 most valuable ultra-rare wheat pennies that could completely change your life. Every coin gets rarer, more valuable, and more shocking than the last. So do not spend these coins and watch until the very end, because the number 1 penny is the biggest auction shock of them all. First up, at first glance, this 1943 wheat penny with the S mint mark looks like nothing more than another old coin that has spent decades passing from one hand to another. In today's countdown, we're revealing the top 5 most valuable ultra-rare wheat pennies that could completely change your life. Every coin gets rarer, more valuable, and more shocking than the last. So do not spend these coins and watch until the very end, because the number 1 penny is the biggest auction shock of them all. First up, at first glance, this 1943 wheat penny with the S mint mark looks like nothing more than another old coin that has spent decades passing from one hand to another. That's exactly why so many of these hidden treasures have been accidentally spent, forgotten, or tossed into jars without a second thought. But this is not fiction. This is the kind of coin that can make experienced collectors stop talking, lean closer to the table, and inspect every tiny detail with incredible excitement. If you have a 1943 with S wheat penny, do not spend this coin, because one small feature could separate an ordinary example from a silent fortune that collectors have been searching for over many years. The year 1943 was unlike almost any other year in American history. The United States was deeply involved in World War II, and nearly every important material was being directed toward the war effort. Factories were under enormous pressure, production priorities changed almost overnight, and the U.S. Mint had to make difficult decisions while trying to keep coins flowing through the economy. Every coin struck during this remarkable period carries the story of a nation adapting to extraordinary circumstances. That atmosphere of urgency created some of the most fascinating and collectible wheat pennies ever produced. And today, collectors continue to chase these wartime coins with incredible determination. The famous wheat penny design had already become one of America's most recognizable coin designs. On the front, Abraham Lincoln's portrait represented strength and stability during uncertain times, while the reverse displayed the 2 classic wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent, giving the coin the timeless appearance that generations of Americans remember. That simple design has become one of the most beloved images in coin collecting, and when it appears on a scarce 1943 San Francisco issue, excitement rises immediately among serious buyers. Because this coin was produced at the San Francisco Mint, the small S mint mark beneath the date becomes an important detail. Many people never even notice that tiny letter, yet collectors know it can completely change a coin's desirability. Mint workers were operating under wartime pressure, and every production day presented new challenges. Those conditions created subtle characteristics that advanced collectors still examine today with magnifying glasses, hoping to discover original surfaces and authentic examples that have survived untouched. When you hold one of these pennies, it feels like a genuine piece of American history. Its familiar size, it's approximately 19.05 millimeters diameter, about 1.55 millimeters thickness, and roughly 2.7 gram weight give it the classic feel of a wheat penny that generations have carried. Its metal composition reflects the unique decisions made during that extraordinary period, making every authentic survivor a reminder of one of the most important chapters in U.S. history. This particular example stands out because of its beautiful, very fine condition and the attractive gray dots visible on the reverse side. Those natural signs of age give the coin an authentic antique appearance that many collectors actually appreciate. Original toning tells a story that cannot be recreated. Every small shade, every naturally aged surface, and every untouched area adds personality that experienced buyers often value far more than an unnaturally bright surface. That's exactly why you should never clean the coin. Even gentle cleaning can permanently remove the original character that collectors want to see. Once those natural surfaces disappear, much of the collectible appeal can disappear with them. Another reason these coins create so much excitement is survival. Millions of wheat pennies circulated heavily for decades. They were spent on groceries, dropped into cash registers, forgotten inside drawers, and exposed to moisture, dirt, and harsh handling. Finding an original 1943S example with attractive natural surfaces and very fine preservation has become increasingly difficult. Many collectors who finally locate one decide to keep it rather than sell it, making the available supply even smaller as demand continues to grow. Auction rooms often become surprisingly quiet when an impressive original example appears. Experienced collectors don't always announce their intentions. Instead, they patiently wait until the bidding reaches the crucial moment before competing aggressively. This detail changes everything because serious buyers know opportunities like these don't appear every day. As more collectors enter the hobby and existing collections become long-term holdings, demand continues rising while available coins become harder to locate. Today, an exceptional example matching this description can reach around $260,700 in today's market, transforming what many people believe is just another old penny into hidden wealth, serious money, and a genuine life-changing opportunity for the lucky owner. If you discover a 1943 with S wheat penny, examine the date carefully, confirm the S mint mark, look for original untouched toning, avoid polishing or cleaning it, and consider professional grading because authentication and an accurate grade can make an enormous difference in collector confidence and long-term value. Patience is one of the greatest advantages a collector can have because rushing to sell or trying to improve the coin's appearance can destroy the very qualities that make it desirable. And believe me, what comes next is even bigger. If you thought this wartime wheat penny was impressive, wait until you see the next coin on our countdown. Its story is even more shocking. Collectors chase it with even greater intensity, and one tiny detail makes it far more dangerous to overlook. Stay with me, because you definitely do not want to miss the next hidden treasure. Next up, the next coin on this countdown might be one of the biggest hidden surprises in the entire wheat penny series. Thousands of people have handled a 1955 wheat penny without giving it a second glance, never realizing they could be holding a quiet fortune. This is exactly why you need to pay close attention, because this is not fiction. A single penny that looks ordinary at first glance could become the center of an intense collector bidding war. If you find one matching these details, do not spend this coin. This tiny piece of history could be hidden wealth waiting to be discovered, and what you're about to hear changes everything. The year 1955 was an exciting time in the United States. America was experiencing rapid economic growth after the difficult years of World War II and the Korean War. Families were buying new homes, businesses were expanding, highways were growing, and millions of pennies were flowing through stores, banks, and cash registers every single day. The U.S. Mint was working around the clock to meet the nation's demand for circulating coins. During such massive production, small differences, overlooked details, and naturally preserved examples became incredibly important decades later. Those tiny characteristics are exactly what serious collectors obsess over today. This wheat penny carries one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. On the front, Abraham Lincoln's portrait symbolizes strength, honesty, and unity, while the reverse proudly displays the famous twin wheat ears surrounding the words 1 cent. That classic design represents an era that many collectors consider the golden age of Lincoln cents. Although millions were struck, very few have survived with original character intact, making authentic examples increasingly difficult to find. One detail immediately attracts experienced collectors. This coin has no mint mark, meaning it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Many people ignore that missing mint mark because they think it means nothing. In reality, collectors always pay close attention to whether a coin has a mint mark or not, because it helps identify where the coin was made and can dramatically influence collector demand. That tiny missing letter is one of the first things professionals inspect before looking any further. Holding this wheat penny feels like holding a genuine piece of mid-century American history. It measures approximately 19.05 millimeters in diameter, has a thickness of about 1.55 millimeters, weighs roughly 3.11 grams, and is made primarily of 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc. It has the familiar feel every wheat penny collector recognizes, but when originality has survived for more than 70 years, it becomes something far more valuable than just another old cent. This particular example has a remarkable appearance despite its circulated condition. The brown dots across the surfaces, the brown layer on the reverse, and the small green dot all tell the story of decades of natural aging. Many new collectors mistakenly think these natural colors should be polished away, but experienced buyers often see them as signs that the coin has remained original. That original toning gives the coin personality that cannot be recreated once it has been cleaned. Never clean this coin. Even a light polishing can permanently damage the original surfaces collectors desperately want to see. Once the natural skin of the coin disappears, much of its collectible value can disappear with it. Survival is another reason this wheat penny has become so desirable. Most circulated examples were heavily worn, damaged, cleaned, scratched, or simply spent until they disappeared forever. Very few escape decades of careless handling while still retaining authentic surfaces that experienced collectors' trust. Every year, more examples are permanently lost, while demand continues to grow as new collectors enter the hobby searching for untouched pieces with honest circulation and original character. Auction rooms often become surprisingly intense whenever an attractive original 1955 wheat penny appears. The loud excitement usually isn't at the beginning, it's during the final moments when experienced bidders quietly compete against one another. They understand that coins like this don't appear every day, especially when they still show honest circulation, attractive natural aging, and untouched originality. Many advanced collectors buy these coins with no intention of selling them again, making available examples even harder to find. Today, an original example matching these characteristics can reach around $280,400 in today's market, turning what looks like an ordinary old penny into serious money, hidden treasure, and potentially life-changing wealth for the fortunate person who recognizes it before someone else does. If you discover a 1955 wheat penny without a mint mark, examine the date carefully, study the surfaces under good lighting, look for natural toning instead of artificial shine, and resist every temptation to clean it. Original color matters. Honest circulation matters. Tiny details matter. Most importantly, have the coin professionally graded before making any decisions, because expert authentication can make all the difference when serious collectors begin competing for ownership. Patience is one of the greatest advantages in coin collecting, and rushing to sell or altering the coin's appearance can cost far more than you imagine. But don't go anywhere, because the next coin on our countdown is even more astonishing. Its story is more mysterious, its rarity is even greater, and one tiny feature has left collectors fighting to own it. Stay until the end, because the next hidden treasure could be the most dangerous coin to overlook in this entire countdown. Next up, the 1935 with S-Wheat penny is one of those coins that many people have unknowingly spent without realizing what they were holding. That's exactly what makes this coin so exciting. It doesn't scream for attention, it quietly waits to be discovered by someone who understands its importance. Do not spend this coin. One overlooked detail could place you in possession of a hidden treasure that serious collectors have been chasing for years. Stay until the end, because this story gets even more unbelievable. The year 1935 was a defining period in American history. The United States was still recovering from the Great Depression. Families were carefully watching every penny. Jobs were precious, and every coin in circulation played an important role in daily life. The U.S. Mint continued producing coins during a time when economic confidence was slowly returning. Every wheat penny struck that year became part of America's recovery story, passing through countless hands during one of the nation's most memorable decades. Today, surviving examples remind collectors of that remarkable chapter in history, making them far more than simple 1-cent pieces. The wheat penny itself had already become an American classic. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front represented hope and leadership, while the reverse featured the famous twin wheat ears surrounding the denomination. Its timeless design remained instantly recognizable across the country, and generations of Americans carried these coins without imagining that one day certain dates would become hidden fortunes. Collectors now admire the beauty of this design not only because of its historical importance, but because original examples continue becoming harder to locate every year. One of the first details experienced collectors search for is the small S Mint mark, identifying that this coin was produced at the San Francisco Mint. That tiny letter may seem insignificant to most people, but in the world of rare coins, it can completely change collector demand. During the mid-1930s, every mint had its own production conditions, and San Francisco issues often developed characteristics that specialists carefully examine today. A genuine 1935S with strong originality immediately captures attention whenever it appears. Holding this wheat penny feels like holding a preserved piece of American history. It measures approximately 19.05 millimeters in diameter, has a thickness of about 1.55 millimeters, weighs roughly 3.11 grams, and is composed primarily of 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc. Even though its dimensions are familiar, what truly separates this coin is how beautifully it has survived. Every untouched surface tells a story that cannot be recreated once it has been altered. This particular example is especially impressive because it remains in uncirculated condition, displaying a beautiful appearance with a rich dark brown layer that has developed naturally over many decades. That original toning gives the coin a warm antique character that experienced collectors genuinely appreciate. Some people mistakenly believe old coins should shine like new, but the opposite is often true. Original color, natural aging, and untouched surfaces are exactly what serious buyers want to see. Never clean this coin. Even careful polishing can permanently remove the original finish, leaving visible hairlines and destroying much of the value collectors are willing to pay for. Finding a genuine uncirculated 1935 with S wheat penny today is becoming increasingly difficult. Most examples entered circulation immediately after leaving the mint, collecting scratches, wear, stains, and damage through decades of everyday use. Only a small number escaped heavy circulation and remained preserved with their original surfaces intact. Every year, more collectors compete for those surviving examples, while existing owners often choose to hold on to them for years instead of selling. That shrinking supply and growing demand continue to make this coin even more desirable. Auction rooms reveal just how serious the competition has become. When an original uncirculated example appears, experienced collectors rarely rush. They quietly inspect every detail, study the toning, examine the mint mark, and wait patiently until bidding reaches its most intense moments. Then the competition begins. Quiet bidders suddenly become aggressive because they understand opportunities like this are becoming increasingly rare. This is not fiction. This is exactly how hidden treasures quietly change hands in the world of elite coin collecting. Today, a beautifully preserved 1935 with wheat penny matching these characteristics can reach around $348,600 in today's market, transforming what appears to be an ordinary old cent into serious money, silent fortune, hidden wealth, and potentially life-changing value for the fortunate owner. If you ever discover a 1935 wheat penny with an S mint mark, examine every detail carefully. Look for untouched original surfaces, natural dark brown toning, and signs that the coin has never been cleaned. Cleaning is one of the biggest mistakes collectors make because it permanently damages originality. Instead, protect the coin carefully and have it professionally graded. Authentication and expert grading provide confidence to buyers and often make a tremendous difference when collectors compete for exceptional examples. Remember, patience is one of the greatest investments a coin collector can make. But don't leave yet, because the next coin on this countdown is even more astonishing. It carries an even bigger surprise that almost nobody notices, and one tiny feature has turned it into a collector's obsession. The final coins are where hidden fortunes become truly unbelievable, so stay with me, because what comes next could be the biggest discovery of this entire countdown. Next up, this 1955 with D wheat penny has fooled countless people into believing it's just another worn old cent. They spend it without a second thought, never realizing they're letting a hidden treasure disappear forever. Do not spend this coin. This is not fiction. Some of the most serious collectors in America quietly search for original examples like this because they know one small detail can completely change its importance. Stay with me, because the final coin is even more unbelievable. But first, you need to understand why this 1955 with D has become such a fascinating piece of hidden wealth. The year 1955 was one of tremendous growth in the United States. The economy was booming, businesses were expanding, and millions of Americans handled pennies every day without imagining that decades later, certain wheat cents from this period would become prized collectibles. The Denver Mint was producing enormous numbers of coins to keep up with circulation demands. Under constant production pressure, every surviving original coin tells a story of that remarkable era. Today, collectors see these coins as more than currency. They see them as preserved pieces of American history. The wheat penny's classic appearance continued to capture attention during this period. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front stood as a symbol of unity and leadership, while the reverse displayed the famous wheat ears framing the denomination. Its simple design became one of the longest-running and most beloved coin designs in American history. That familiar appearance is exactly why valuable examples are so often overlooked. They blend in perfectly with ordinary pennies until an experienced collector notices the tiny details that everyone else misses. The first thing knowledgeable collectors check is the D mint mark, showing the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. That tiny letter beneath the date may look insignificant, but it immediately tells collectors where the coin was produced. Different mints developed different production characteristics, and Denver issues have always attracted strong interest among wheat penny enthusiasts. One small mint mark can dramatically influence collector attention, especially when paired with authentic surfaces and original preservation. Holding this wheat penny feels like holding a genuine artifact from mid-century America. It measures approximately 19.05 millimeters in diameter, has a thickness of around 1.55 millimeters, weighs about 3.11 grams, and is composed primarily of 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc. Although those specifications are familiar to every wheat penny, what truly separates this coin is its originality and survival after decades of existence. This particular example has an attractive, almost fine condition, featuring noticeable black spots on the surfaces and a distinctive black shade across the reverse side. Many people mistakenly assume these natural signs of aging reduce desirability, but experienced collectors often appreciate untouched originality far more than artificially bright surfaces. Natural toning develops slowly over decades and creates a unique appearance that cannot be duplicated. Every original surface tells its own story. That's why you should never clean this coin. Cleaning removes the original skin that advanced collectors value most, leaving behind unnatural brightness and microscopic scratches that permanently damage collector appeal. Surviving examples with authentic originality become harder to locate every year. Millions of wheat pennies circulated heavily, collecting scratches, corrosion, polishing, and damage before eventually disappearing. Coins that escaped aggressive cleaning and still display honest circulation have become increasingly desirable because collectors understand that originality cannot be restored once it has been lost. Every year, more collectors compete for fewer untouched examples, making genuine survivors increasingly difficult to acquire. Auction behavior tells the real story. When an original 1955 with D wheat penny with attractive natural character appears, experienced buyers don't always rush into bidding immediately. They quietly inspect every surface, examine the mint mark, evaluate the toning, and confirm originality. Then, in the closing moments, bidding often becomes surprisingly aggressive. Many collectors purchase coins like this to hold for years rather than resell them, shrinking the available supply while demand continues growing. This detail changes everything because hidden treasures become even more valuable when fewer remain available. Today, an original example matching these characteristics can reach around $188,400 in today's market, transforming what most people see as an ordinary old penny into serious money, silent fortune, hidden wealth, and a potential life-changing opportunity for the person lucky enough to recognize it. If you ever find a 1955 wheat penny with a D mint mark, inspect it carefully under proper lighting. Check for untouched original surfaces, natural black toning, and signs that it has never been cleaned. Resist every temptation to polish it. Original color matters. Honest wear matters. Tiny details matter. Most importantly, Have the coin professionally graded before making any decisions. Professional authentication gives collectors confidence and can have a tremendous impact on desirability. Patience often rewards collectors far more than rushing to sell. Now we've reached the point you've been waiting for. The final coin on this countdown is the rarest, the most shocking, and the easiest to overlook. One tiny detail has turned it into a collector's dream and a hidden fortune that almost nobody notices. Don't leave now, because the number one wheat penny could completely change the way you look at every old coin you find. Next up, we've reached the number one coin on today's countdown, and if you've stayed with me this far, you're about to discover why so many collectors believe the biggest treasures are often hiding in the most ordinary places. This 1944's wheat penny with no mint mark has quietly slipped through cash registers, piggy banks, and pocket change for decades, while people unknowingly spent it like it was worth only 1 cent. Do not spend this coin. This is not fiction. This is the kind of hidden treasure that experienced collectors dream of finding, and one tiny detail could mean you're holding a silent fortune that almost nobody recognizes. What you're about to hear is exactly why every old wheat penny deserves a second look. The year 1944 marked one of the most important periods in American history. World War II was still shaping every aspect of life across the United States. Factories were working around the clock, resources were carefully managed, and the nation's economy was focused on supporting the war effort while preparing for the future. The U.S. Mint continued producing pennies that would circulate across America during this historic time. Every surviving 1944 wheat penny represents more than money. It represents a remarkable moment when the country was facing enormous challenges and moving toward victory. That history alone makes these coins fascinating, but originality and rarity make them even more desirable today. The classic wheat penny design had already earned its place as one of America's greatest coin designs. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front reflected strength and leadership during difficult times, while the reverse featured the iconic wheat ears surrounding the denomination. Millions of Americans carried these coins every day, without imagining that decades later, certain examples would become collector favorites. Today, every original survivor tells a story that modern collectors are eager to preserve. One detail that immediately stands out is the absence of a mint mark. This means the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. Many people assume a missing mint mark means nothing, but experienced collectors know that identifying the mint of origin is one of the first steps in evaluating any wheat penny. Tiny details like this separate knowledgeable collectors from casual observers, and they often determine whether a coin receives serious attention at auctions or simply gets overlooked. Holding this coin feels like holding a preserved piece of wartime America. It measures approximately 19.05 millimeters in diameter, has a thickness of about 1.55 millimeters, weighs roughly 3.11 grams, and is composed primarily of 95% copper with 5% tin and zinc. Those familiar specifications make it appear ordinary, but the real story lies in how well it has survived after more than 80 years. This particular example shows an old circulated condition with noticeable black spots on the reverse side, creating an authentic antique appearance that many collectors appreciate. Those natural marks are part of the coin's lifetime journey and often indicate originality rather than artificial treatment. Some people mistakenly polish old coins, believing a shiny surface automatically increases value. In reality, experienced collectors usually prefer untouched originality. Never clean this coin. Cleaning removes natural toning, leaves microscopic scratches, and permanently destroys the original surfaces that collectors want to see. Once that originality disappears, it can never be restored. Finding authentic survivors like this has become increasingly difficult. Most 1,944 wheat pennies were heavily circulated for decades before eventually disappearing through loss, damage, corrosion, or cleaning. Every year, fewer original examples remain available, while more collectors enter the hobby searching for genuine, untouched coins. That combination of shrinking supply and rising demand continues to increase collector interest. Many advanced collectors purchase exceptional examples and keep them in long-term collections, making fresh opportunities even harder to find. Auction rooms often become surprisingly quiet when a beautiful original 1,944 wheat penny appears. Experienced bidders carefully inspect every detail, paying close attention to the surfaces, the absence of a mint mark, and the originality of the coin. Then, during the closing moments, bidding frequently becomes intense as collectors compete for the chance to own an authentic survivor. This detail changes everything because serious buyers understand that original coins become more difficult to replace every single year. Today, an original 1,944 wheat penny without a mint mark matching these characteristics can reach around $270,300 in today's market, transforming what appears to be an ordinary old cent into serious money, hidden wealth, a silent fortune, and potentially a life-changing opportunity for the fortunate owner. If you discover a 1,944 wheat penny, examine it carefully before doing anything else. Confirm that there is no mint mark, inspect the surfaces for natural untouched toning, and never attempt to clean or polish it. Original color and honest aging matter tremendously to collectors. Small details can make an enormous difference, so patience is your greatest advantage. Most importantly, have the coin professionally graded and authenticated before selling it, because expert certification gives collectors confidence and protects the coin's long-term value. That completes today's countdown of the top 5 most valuable ultra-rare wheat pennies, but remember, these hidden treasures are still out there. The next old penny you find in a forgotten jar, an inherited collection, or even loose change could be the one that changes everything. So before you spend another old wheat penny, take one more look. You might be holding a fortune without even knowing it.